Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Wayne. Today we're going to be going over what is going on with the Roma players in the World Cup, how are they making out, and happy Thanksgiving to the American subscribers.
If you like my video, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Thanks.
Alright, so the story of the week is the shock result by Saudi Arabia picking up a comeback win over Argentina. Absolutely insane. Everybody's been talking about it. I'm sure as you love football, people are coming up to you and they're like, how about that game? How come Messi couldn't win? How did this actually happen? It is still mind-boggling. You look at the amount of chances that Argentina had and you're like, how the ball did this not go into the back of the net? Let's look at the starting lineup. Molina, who played at Udinese, Christian Romero from Atalanta, now at Tottenham, Otamendi, Tagliafico, a really good back line, Angel Di Maria, Rodrigo De Paul, Paredes, Papu Gomez. This is like a very 2017 Serie A All-Stars team here. And then, of course, Messi and Lautaro Martinez. So I don't know. I'm shocked. But I still think that Argentina is going to win the Cup. I'm confident that they will get it together. Sometimes teams that go on to win the tournaments, they don't want to show. It's not they don't want to show, but they don't show their best forms yet. It's not their best self. So Argentina will mold into each other. I think just looking at these players, it has to seem inevitable. But as I read and I go through, it is really cool that so many of these players played in Serie A and still do, such as Lautaro Martinez. And of course, though, as the Roma perspective, not getting Dybala out onto the pitch is criminal. Gotta get him super in form coming back from his injury. Well, not super in form, but he is, a game changer. Probably the most influential player in Serie A. He's got to get onto the field for the next matches. Also in Group C, Mexico drew Poland as 0-0. Zalewski was a starter. We saw him play in a 4-1-4-1 on the left there with Bereszynski from Sampdoria, the 30-year-old, behind him as the left back, and Zielinski as the center mid, moving a little bit forward, very much in the similar way that he plays for Spalletti right now at Napoli. One thing I really didn't like was the way that Poland played. They looked a little scared against Mexico, honestly. I thought they needed to come out of their shell a little bit, press, control the ball, but instead Mexico really surpassed my expectations. Being American, I'm very, very familiar with watching Mexico and what they're all about. So when they came and they played this possession ball and it was really fluid, I was like, haven't seen that too much. Typically, I expect Mexico to be a little bit more chippy, but they looked quite refined. Today, this is Thursday, the 24th at the time of this recording. Viña comes on off the bench against South Korea for Uruguay in the 79th minute. Uruguay, I think there were 0 shots in this game. So not good enough when you have a player like Edson Cavani on the bench. And Valverde from Real Madrid, he was probably the player of the match if you had to pick one. He got the closest to getting a goal, hits the top frame of the net, and obviously doesn't make it. But Viña getting a good 11, 14, I guess about 16 minutes when you include extra time there. Rui Patricio did not feature in the 3-2 win by Portugal over Ghana. Watch this entire match. Very exciting one. Lots of open play, especially in the last 15 minutes. Both teams pressing forward, trying to get back. And then the keeper, maybe he should have started Rui Patricio because the keeper here makes a criminal mistake, lacking his concentration for just a split second. And the Ghana striker almost takes it away. He slips, and there's this confusion mishap at the back, and it almost all goes wrong for Portugal. But there we've got Dybala, non-starter, Zalewski getting important minutes, although he gets taken off at the beginning of the second half. Viña getting in there, getting to stretch his legs. I think it was his 25th appearance for Uruguay, and then Rui Patricio on the bench. So overall, not the biggest presentation, not the best presentation of Roma players. Maybe we'll get to see, hopefully, a bit more of them, including, of course, Dybala. Roma are now on tour in Japan, and Mourinho, as well as Tiago Pinto, spoke to the media ahead of this tournament. Pinto starts out discussing the mercato. He says, without doubt, we keep the opinion of our coach in consideration, but we also have to work within financial fair play parameters. I come from Portugal, a small country, yet we have one of the best coaches in the world and one of the best players in the world. He says, perhaps if the Super League had existed over the last 20 years, we wouldn't have seen Mourinho and Cristiano Ronaldo truly emerge on the European stage. He says, I understand business because I work on the business side of sport. I understand the need for revenue, but I don't like closing the door to small countries and small clubs. Football is about the surprise because you genuinely never know what could happen on the pitch. Just look at Saudi Arabia beating Argentina at the World Cup. I expect a mercato very much the same way what we saw in the summer, picking up players on a free transfer. Salik was the only one who came over for around 7.5, upwards almost 8 million euros. The rest of Roma's players came in on a free. Dybala, Wijnaldum, right? Matic. So expect that, and we already see that with the signing of Solbakken, a player I like a lot. Of course, I've seen him play for Bodo Glimt, as you have. He scores 3 goals against Roma. It's very impressive. He's direct. I think a really important skill set as a winger is just having that, ability to drive towards the actual net rather than being a playmaker. I don't really think that Roma needs a playmaker on the wing. They do need somebody a bit more direct, as well as somebody with high football IQ to interchange with the opponents, because in Mourinho's counter-attacking football, everything is down to the very, very fine, it's very precision-based with counter-attacking football. There is no room for mistakes. Tammy Abraham also spoke about missing out the World Cup. He said, "I'm not so anxious to return to playing. I'm enjoying the World Cup and training for January." He says, "I would have liked to have been in Qatar, but I think these types of situations make you grow as a player and as a man. I'm still young. I have to grow and improve." Abraham, I don't think that he deserved to be called up. Chris Smalling, absolutely. But Abraham, when I look at a player like Kane, James Maddison being called up, that was, I think, fair because of Abraham's recent form. Could he have gone out there and played and scored a couple goals? If I take his sample size of the past couple weeks, then I would say, yeah, he's been actually doing much better, scoring some important header goals. But I hope that this really ignites a fire under Abraham. And this is the response that I like to see. He says, "I'm training. I need to grow and to improve." So it's much different if a striker says, "Nah, the coach was wrong. He messed up." But instead to take that accountability and say, "Yes, I will grow from this. I will make myself better. I will make damn sure that I am on the pitch next World Cup 4 years from now." Going to end today speaking a little bit about Mourinho's press conference. And speaking about Premier League players, and he says, "We don't have the strength to go and get players from the EPL, but Abraham was a player who wanted to prove himself. Matic is 34 years old and has played at the best clubs. He came back to play with me to bring experience." He then also said, "You have to be lucky to have players with the right motivation and quality. Us coaches can implement things, but we don't work miracles. Everyone has everything in their own hands." And then he spoke a little bit about Japan. He said, "A Japanese player at Roma, if he's cheap," so they're, of course, bringing up financial fair play again. And then he said, "In football, never say never when discussing the Japanese football team. They have coaches of a certain level. In football, it's difficult to talk about a project, but it seems difficult to me." He then says, "The Marinos are champions. They have more quality and imagination going forward. Nagoya are organized. I expect tough matches. I'm missing players, and jet lag doesn't help." Then speaking about what happened with Japan and them beating Germany, in that comeback, he says, "I didn't see the match. I was in bed. The TV was on, but I fell asleep. I was devastated. Congrats to Japan, but it's not such a big surprise. They're a good team that are growing. In Europe, we focus on individuality. I have coached Asian players, and I am lucky because I have coached the best. They have the right mentality. That's why I think yesterday was not such a big surprise." Very nice from Mourinho. With the mercato coming up soon, there are players I think that Roma needs to improve upon, or positions I said that Roma needs to strengthen. But leave a comment, drop what you think Roma needs to do in this mercato, what you think about the tournament in Japan, and what you think about Roma's players and how they're influencing the World Cup, and what Argentina needs to do to go and win this thing. Ciao, guys. Thanks.